All right, let's go and get started today. We'll talk now today about alcohol. And so this is a chart about alcohol use on campus, in college campuses. This is the actual use. This is the perceived use. And so about 24% of males, 25% of males have never used alcohol when they're in college. And so that means like throughout their whole life. 24% of females, 24% average, but the perceived use is only 5%. So people think only 5% of males have never used alcohol and 3% of females never use alcohol. So it feels like 95% of people have used alcohol when in reality it's 75% who use alcohol. And then all 30 days, 1.6%. And so hardly anybody uses alcohol every day on campus. Yeah. But the used 1 to 9 days out of a 30-day period, 44% of males, 49% of females. So that by far is the most common use of alcohol. It's the 1 to 9 times in a month.
So is that like one drink, like in moderation?
Well, it doesn't say any alcohol use. So it doesn't specify if it's binge drinking, if it's one drink, it does not say. And so it covers all of it, from everything from having 1 drink to having 20 drinks. I mean, it's everything in between.
I feel like if they binge drink like that, they wouldn't do it just a couple days, right?
It depends on the person. I mean, they get, if you're binge drinking, you get really sick afterwards.
Yeah.
You might not want to drink for a week or so. I mean, it just depends. It's pretty rough on your body.
Yeah.
So any use at all in the last 30 days, 62% of males, 61% of females. But they think it's 91%, 94%. So it feels like almost everybody's drinking when it's really not the case. It's also where you go to college. I mean, that's just all college campuses, but there's a huge difference based on where you go to college on how many people actually drink.
So why is it, I would have never guessed it'd be women more than men.
Oh, like more women than men?
Yeah.
Like go back. It's
Well, you don't think they can drink, huh?
well, I don't really know if it shows that on here, actually. It actually shows, for the most part, more men than women, for the most part. I mean, I'm seeing most numbers. I mean, there's a few, but for most, looks like there's a little bit more men than women. Yeah, so that one would be more women, but the other ones, though, for the most part, like the heavier drinking especially, is more men. Like you see right here, these ones.
I could have sworn you said that.
Well, there's a few that is a case, like this one, for example, and that one. But for the ones down here, when it's actually heavier drinking, it's more men. So men by far drink more than women. They drink more often. They drink more at a time. So yeah, it's not even close. They drink a lot more. Do what? The reason why, there's several reasons why, but alcohol affects women a lot more severely than men. So it's almost double the amount of drinks that a man can drink versus a woman and have the same effect. And so for a woman who drinks 1 drink, a man can drink 2 and have the same effect.
Is that because
So-
of tolerance or is that just?
No, it has to do more with body physiology. It has to do,
Okay, so if we have the body physiology.
well, no, actually, even the same weight. So a man is 120 pounds and a woman is 120 pounds.
That's what he's
Like
saying.
the same, let's say the same exact weight for a man and a woman. That's even still, a man could drink more than a woman at the same exact weight. And the reason why, there's several reasons why, but one reason why is that men have more blood in their system. They have more muscles, and so they have more capillaries, they have more veins, and so they have more blood, which means they can dissolve the alcohol more easily. So that's the major factor. There's different enzymes that men have that women don't have to break down the alcohol. And hormones play a huge factor too. Estrogen and progesterone in a woman, they interfere with the ability to break down alcohol too. And so when those are high, they're more likely to have the effects of alcohol. So if they take birth control pills, for example, alcohol hits them a lot harder because they have more hormones that are going to affect their ability to process alcohol. So those are some reasons why it affects women more than men. So it's not due to the weight or how big they are. That definitely does have a factor into it, but it's also just by their sex, whether they're male or female, it's how they're built that's going to affect it.
Was Andre the Giant the one that like couldn't get drunk off of beer that easily? It was hard about.
Well, if he's big, I mean, yeah, I mean, it's gonna take a lot.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
like a Coke can for him to get squeezed.
Yeah. So if you're really big, it's gonna take a whole lot. Yeah. So the bigger you are, the harder it is gonna to affect you. So on any given day, most people don't drink alcohol. So these are the ones who do not. So 67% of men do not drink alcohol on a daily basis. 80% of women do not drink alcohol on a daily basis. So this is how many people by percentage on any given day do not drink. So by and large, the majority of people do not drink on a daily basis, even though it might seem like it. Every year, 106,000 freshmen drop out of college for alcohol reasons or drug-related reasons. So that's every year. It's a huge amount of people who go to college and then basically just ruin it because of alcohol or drugs. 5,000 people die every year in the US who are under 21 years from alcohol. And that can be due to car accidents, it could be due to alcohol poisoning, it could be due to accidents while taking alcohol, but it's related to alcohol, directly related to alcohol.
How many people drink every year?
How many people drink every year?
Yeah.
Well, it'd be so up here, like, I don't know if I have that or not. I'll look and see. I might have that one.
Did any of y'all take like the aceable driving one? And where they would have the ridiculous answers, but then the driving one, every single one of them was like, don't drink and drive, don't drink and drive, don't drink and drive. And you're just like, okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's so true.
Yeah.
I mean, if I were to make a rough estimate, about 20% of people never drink. And so that would be about, if you do that, so you got 330 million people in the US. So 330 million, 20% of that would be the amount. Well, but then you got to look at, who's underage but just roughly.
20% never drink?
Yeah, they've never touched alcohol. Yeah.
Wait, serious?
Yeah, and there's people like a lot of Protestants believe alcohol is a sin. A lot of people, and Mormons, Muslims, Baptists. There's a lot of, not all Protestants, but a lot of Protestants believe drinking is a sin. And so there's a lot of Protestants who do not drink at all. Mormons don't drink at all. Muslims don't drink at all. Yeah. So there's a lot of people who believe it's a sin in any amount, and so they're going to drink because of that. Others are just afraid to drink that because they've had people in their family, like Trump, for example. He said he never drank alcohol because his father was an alcoholic, and he saw the effects of alcohol in his family. So some people are that way where they just don't want to drink it because they saw what happened in their family. So that's also why some people don't drink. So,
At least try it, like medicine alcohol.
Yes.
Like,
no, it's fine. If you're with your parents, you can do that. I mean,
no one in here.
I was on
Is
the
that-
phone, you know, we just had some-
yeah, that happens. That happens over there. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, there was really-
I have a look. No, but
I want to try
I'd
it.
rather
Drink
just
every
not
alcohol.
touch it than ever to like do it. And plus I just don't like it. So I'm like, I'm not gonna force
Wait,
myself
you
to
know
do
what
it.
percent alcohol moonshine is?
Moonshine?
Yeah.
It depends on how you make it. So it's really hard to answer that question because moonshine just means any illegal alcohol that you're making at your home. And so that could be anything from whiskey to vodka to
I
beer.
thought that was a particular.
Now
like, it's
they
like
have whether it's-
60
I mean,
alcohol.
It's like, yeah.
So,
That's
mu-
crazy.
so, because for me, I thought moonshine was just any alcohol you make at home. That's what I thought it was, which could be
I thought it was
beer or
particular
whiskey,
Where it's like 40 to 60% ethanol.
because you gotta
I can
distill
have
it.
some right now.
Because that would be, you have to really distill that to make it that way.
Excuse me?
You had to really distill that. I mean, because like when you get it from the yeast, it's about 14% alcohol, but you then have to distill it for a while to make it a lot higher in percentage.
Yeah, it does take a while.
Mhm. But I mean, I know people who would just like, they would just make beer at home and you'd call that moonshine, but beer's like 5% alcohol. So I don't know. I guess it depends on the context of what you mean by moonshine. I guess it means different things, different people.
Wait, this is so random, but do people in Russia like normally have a higher tolerance?
Yeah, they drink a lot in Russia. Yeah.
But do they have a higher tolerance because they drink so much?
Well, part
or
of it's
is
their
like-
genes. Part of it is just the way that, because genetics do play a role in it.
Yeah, but, like,
Asians
genetics.
can't really drink alcohol because it's their genes. They can't process alcohol. So when Asians drink alcohol, for most of them, they're going to feel really bad. They're going to have a flushed face. They're going to have a headache. They're going to feel hot. They're going to feel dizzy. It doesn't feel good to them because they can't break it down. But people like a lot of Europeans, Germans, Russians, they can break down alcohol very efficiently, and so they can drink more. Yeah, Irish. I mean, a lot of Northern Europeans, they can process alcohol very well. And then African Americans don't drink very much either. Like as a whole, like compared to whites, they don't drink as much. Like about 50% of African Americans drink compared to about 70% of whites. So it has to do with your race, it has to do again with how your body can process alcohol, and it varies a lot from person to person. So on college campuses alone, almost 2,000 people die every year from drinking alcohol. And I think we already went through these numbers before, but you can see this is on a yearly basis and how many injuries, how many assaults, how many sexual assaults happen every year due to alcohol. So this is not numbers for all of them. This is just alcohol related instances. So it leads to a huge amount of problems. Impacts GPA. Alcohol can increase, especially if you're prone to depression, anxiety, it will increase those. You know, people will usually drink to feel better, to help with their anxiety or their depression, but it actually just intensifies those feelings. It makes them worse. It affects working memory. Do you know what working memory is?
Like in the moment.
That's right, in the moment. That's right, memory in the moment. So, you know, things to do, like, you know, if you are trying to stay focused on your homework and you're reading something and you're writing down what you read, working memory would remember what you just read to write it down. So it keeps you on task, keeps you focused on what you're doing. So it affects working memory, so you have a hard time focusing. You forget what you just read. You forget what you're doing. You can't stay focused on what you want to do. So as I mentioned before, about 25% of students have never used alcohol. And there's a huge amount of difference between college campuses. You have like Arizona State, which is a huge party school. A lot of the Northeastern campuses are also very, UD is actually almost the driest campus in the United States. It's I think it's top 1 or 2 of the driest campuses. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, which is a little bit surprising. No, no, Franciscan's a lot worse. Yeah, Franciscan's a lot worse than UD. Not even close. But yeah, it's gotten better. But no, UD is they look at how people party, how people drink, and UD is always the top 1 or 2 that don't party and drink.
That means the other schools are drinking a lot.
Yes.
Like, UD is still.
Well, it depends on who. Okay, so UD has a lot of groups.
Yeah.
And there's the old mill group that, you know, they party a lot, you know, they go into the woods, you know, like there's that group of people. But you have a lot of group of people who don't, who you know, go 6:30 mass every morning, who, I mean, you have a lot of different people. So, but as a whole, it's the driest campus in the United States. So it makes a huge difference when you go to college. So students at religious colleges, 4 times less likely to be moderate or heavy drinkers. But yes, well, okay, last time I saw the study. Now it could have changed recently, but because I saw it a few years ago, and the sports would also have a lot more. But last time I looked at the rankings, which was a couple of years back, UD was number 1 or 2 as far as the driest campus. It was back and forth between 1 and 2. Yeah. Because there's a Mormon school too that also is with UD, but like they go back and forth, and for years that's how it's been. And so the entity for a while has been pretty high in drug use and alcohol use. Yeah, that one would be pretty low too. Yeah, but it's a pretty new college. No, Wyoming. Bending's not new. Yeah. And there's a lot of drinking at Franciscan. Yeah, that's one reason. Yeah, lots of parties and Exactly. And they have less parties at UD. That's right. Yeah. That makes a huge difference. Yeah. You can see on this chart over here how number of drinks you have per week correlates to your grade point average.
3.6 is still good A's.
I mean, that's not very much for a week. In a week, it's not one sitting. It's through your whole. It's the whole week. So for a whole 7 days, you took an average 3.5 drinks. So, but
You want to make A's and you don't drink, start drinking. 3 times.
So I mentioned binge drinking before, but binge drinking would be drinking to the point of having a blood alcohol content above 0.08%. And that's when you're drunk. That's 0.08% and above is when you're noticeably drunk. You can't walk in a straight line. You're slurring your words. No, tipsy would be before that. It does vary a lot by person to person, but tipsy generally is before being drunk. And that would be generally, I mean, yeah, you feel kind of dizzy, you might have lower coordination, but you're not impaired to the point that you'd be at 0.8%, 0.08%. So for a man, that'd be about 5 drinks in 2 hours. And this varies by weight, but in general, it's about 5 drinks in 2 hours. And then for women, it's about 4 drinks in 2 hours. But how much you weigh does definitely influence that. And also the food you have in your body, medicine you're taking, if you're feeling sick, will also affect this. How you're drinking water while you're drinking alcohol, that will also affect this as well. So a lot of the factors that go into it, but in general, that's what you're going to see.
Wait, why do they say that like drinking, eating like greasy food is like good for you when you have like a hangover?
Yeah. Well, nobody knows. Okay, for the hangover, nobody really is sure why that's true. But
Soaks up the alcohol, but like that's
no, because there wouldn't be alcohol in your body after that point. Now, it is possible though that there's acetaldehyde. So alcohol, when it breaks down, turns into acetaldehyde, which is, it makes you feel really bad. And so it is possible that the greasy food does soak up the acetaldehyde, which does make you feel bad. But nobody knows for sure why it makes you feel better. Yeah. I know, but people, it does seem to help people though. But it's because of that you have a little bit of this poison in your body that's really making you feel bad, and you're dehydrated. Those are the 2 reasons why you feel bad after with the hangover. But they don't really know for sure why greasy food especially helps. But that's probably why. It probably does soak up the toxins. But it wouldn't be the alcohol. The alcohol's already gone from your body. It'd be other things that are remnants of the alcohol. So you can see in this chart right here, drinking has gone down considerably over the years. So you can see 1991, 30% of people in their senior year had binge drinked. But then you can see over year 2011, 22% had binge drinked. So it's been going down considerably over the years. The rates of binge drinking and even drinking in general has gone down. So this is the amount of people who have drank at all during the senior year.
Did you get the job?
I was offered a job.
Oh, congratulations. That's exciting. Good job.
Oh, Chick-fil-A. Oh, Maggie. You know,
So you can see right here, 1991, it was the highest amount of seniors who had drank at all, and then 54%, but then by 2019, it's down to 29%. So you can see a noticeable decrease in the amount of drinking at all, and then binge drinking for seniors.
Is that because vaping got popular?
I don't know. I'm not for sure. I mean, there's probably not just one factor that goes into it, because vaping has definitely risen over the past few years. But vaping just in the past, like vaping would have started like right around maybe 2017 is when it got popular. So even before that, you can still see a noticeable decline. So I don't think it would have just been vaping, because you don't really see a huge decline after 2017, which is when vaping really got big. So that's probably not what's happening.
There's been very decline in a lot of like those things. Like I heard, like I've done like research, and there's like been declines in like teen homicides and like teen pregnancies and a lot of that kind of thing, because people like they don't just kind of like live like outside of their house like the way they used to, I
Yeah.
Where
Mhm.
they would just like, go wherever.
Yeah. Yeah, Gen Z, I mean,
Yeah.
they don't take so many risks. Like that's the
Yeah.
biggest thing I think is that Gen Z population is not as risky as millennials or Gen X. I think that's by far the biggest difference. Yeah, that's right. They stay at home.
Yeah.
So people like millennials and before would go out a lot. They would want to go to the mall. They'd want to go out with their friends to parties. And Gen Z does still do that, but not to the same extent as people who are older than them. So I think that's the biggest factor.
Teen homicides have gone down, but
Mm.
teen suicides have gone
Yeah. Because they're more isolated, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would make sense. Four Loko, have you heard about this drink? Very dangerous drink. It used to be even more dangerous. It used to lead to a lot of deaths. I mean, so it used to be a combination of alcohol and caffeine, which is a really dangerous combination. So when you combine alcohol with caffeine, you can easily overdose on alcohol because the caffeine will mask the effect of alcohol. And so you don't feel as impaired. Even though you don't feel as impaired with the caffeine. And so you can easily black out or drink to the point of overdosing because you don't feel the effects till it's too late. So for Loco, after there are people who had died from drinking this, they had to remove the caffeine in 2010. But even still, even after removing the caffeine, it's still a very dangerous drink. Most people who drink this will black out. They'll get blackout drunk with one can. Because if you get a 24-ounce can, like this is how they serve it, 40% alcohol by volume, that's 6.5 drinks of alcohol, which is easily enough to make you black out for most people. So it's a very dangerous drink because it's more, it's a serving size like this, but that's 6.5 alcoholic drinks in that one serving size.
Yeah.
Well, they would say you got to drink it responsibly. We're not liable for you. You can, yeah, I know. Yeah, it's very irresponsible.
So it's like 6.5, what percent drink?
No, so what they call a drink is equal to a half an ounce of alcohol. And so a drink is, a glass of wine, a shot of whiskey. I mean, it's a bottle of beer. So yeah, 6.5 shots. That's what it would be. Yeah.
Is that change like proof or whatever, like the percentage is how?
Well, so the proof is twice percentage. So this would be 28 proof.
That'd be 28.
Yeah, it's whatever percentage of alcohol is twice that for proof. So it'd be 200 proof. Well, okay, close. I mean, Everclear is like usually 95% alcohol, which would be 95 times 2 would be 190 proof. That's usually what you're gonna get. Yeah.
Can you drink that?
Straight? Oh gosh, no. I mean, no, if you were to drink that straight, it would burn so bad.
What's the highest?
You could drink it, but it'd be really bad for you. I mean, like usually the ones that you can drink that's not gonna burn you to the point where it's really painful, about 60% is usually the highest. But vodka's 40 to 60.
How much is absinthe?
Absinthe, it depends. It varies a lot. There's like not usually one percentage. And absinthe isn't that high in alcohol, but there's other things that are in it that intensify alcohol. And that's one reason why it's so dangerous, why it's not allowed over here because of that. So caffeine, if you take it, a lot of people will drink Red Bull with vodka, or they'll mix alcohol with Red Bull or energy drinks, and that can be very dangerous. So caffeine can mask the effect of alcohol. It's easy to overdose. You have twice the likelihood of being injured if you have caffeine with alcohol. Blackouts are a lot more common with caffeine and alcohol. Also, if you have a soda, just the carbon dioxide itself intensifies alcohol's effects. So if you were to mix soda with alcohol, it's going to hit you harder than if you were to mix, say, vodka with orange juice. So if you were to take the same amount of vodka and put in orange juice versus in Diet Coke, the Diet Coke is going to hit you a lot harder because a diet drink also hits you harder for some reason, along with carbon dioxide. And so it brings alcohol to your body faster. So the kind of drink that the mixtures you have in your drink are going to affect a lot to how you feel. And there's a lot of different factors that go into how alcohol is going to affect your body, but the kind of drink does make a big difference. So about 19 million people in college, and about 300,000 of those will eventually die from alcohol-related causes over their lifetime. And so that would be due to car accidents, it'd be due to liver disease, stroke, heart disease, cancers of the mouth, throat, liver, and colon. So, and you don't hear about cancers as much, but alcohol can lead to cancer because alcohol is a poison. And when it breaks down, you get more poisons. You get acetaldehyde that builds up in your body as alcohol processes. And that would then damage your cells, which can then lead to cancers where the alcohol hit your body, which would be your mouth, your throat, your liver, your colon. So alcohol is a huge factor in deaths for all Americans, but people who are under 25 especially. Every 3 hours, somebody dies from alcohol in the United States who's under the age of 24. So it's an epidemic here. A rule of thumb for driving is don't drive if you have more than 2 drinks in 2 hours. You generally, at most, want to have 1 drink for 1 hour. Your body can process a drink of alcohol in an hour, but any more than that, it cannot process that. It's going to affect you to the point you're impaired and you can't drive safely.
So during Prohibition, what was the death rate from alcohol?
Oh, I'm not sure. It was high. I know that. I'll look that one up.
They would drink,
But-
like, I feel like when they said drink, they would drink a lot.
Yes, and it also would be alcohol that was not safe to drink. But I know there was a big amount of people who had died. Yeah, it was.
Oh, yeah.
So it can make you really vulnerable to being attacked. And what they found is on campus, so campus rapes, what they found is that 3/4 of those instances, so of course you can't have one reason why any of these happen, but what they did find is that in those cases, the victim was too intoxicated to refuse. They couldn't stop the attack. Of course, sometimes you can't anyway, but this was a factor in it, that they were vulnerable. One reason why was because they were impaired. Yes.
McDonald wanted me to ask you about wine.
What about wine?
How long is this good drunk?
How many cups?
How many cups to get drunk from wine?
Average.
It depends a lot on a person.
Oh,
So I can here show you really fast. It does depend a lot. I mean, so it depends if you're male or female. It depends upon if you're eating anything or not. There's a lot of things that go into it, how much you weigh. But so for male right here, this is your body weight up here. And then this is how many drinks you've had. And so you can have a glass of wine would be a drink. And so then it can show you how many drinks. So 0.08 is legally drunk. So anything that's 0.08 or above, you're legally drunk. And then about 0.4 and above, you're impaired, you're tipsy.
I can have 4 wines.
And then the black on here, and this is for men though. For women, it's higher. So, but this is for men. So that gives you an idea. Again, it does depend a lot on how long you're drinking for. Is it spaced out over a few hours? Are you eating food? Are you drinking water in between drinks? Those, but this would be having these drinks one after another within the space of an hour. So this would be drinks in an hour. Yeah, you would. Yeah, probably with the Four Loko. Probably the Four Loko itself probably kill you. Do what? Well, let's see. So that's 6.5 drinks. So that would be right about here. So no, actually most would not be. I mean, you'd be right around, so this would be the lowest weight generally, but no, that's for men though. But for women, so for a Four Loko, yeah, if you weigh 90 pounds or 100 pounds and you're a woman, yeah, that could definitely kill you.
Yeah, so I am.
And Four Loko has killed people. But this would be for women. So this would be again, you can see it hits women differently. So again, about 2 drinks for a man is 1 drink for a woman on average. And so you're gonna get drunk a lot faster for women versus men. But again, it does, in the amount of food you have in your body, the amount of water you have in your body is going to affect this as well. But that's in general what's going to happen.
Does salt affect how often?
Salt makes you more thirsty. You're going to drink faster.
Wait,
Yeah, but that's the only thing I know about salt is that it makes you more thirsty.
Margarita.
Besides,
If you have more than 1 drink, if you're like almost not dry.
yeah, exactly. Yes. At first. After an hour, then you could drive.
So this is all in and out.
Yeah. So after an hour, your body can process 1 drink. So after 1 hour, it's processed the drink, you can drive safely. Usually, some women they can. Even then they couldn't. But for most people, after an hour, they can.
Okay.
Okay, let's go back. Let's see. And so we talked about college campuses, but for the whole United States, 90,000 people die every year from alcohol-related instances in the United States. So that includes drunk driving, alcohol-related violence, overdosing in alcohol. So that's a huge amount of people who die just in America alone because of alcohol.
Holly, maybe I should ask this question.
Oh, go for it.
But did you drink underage in college?
No, actually, I didn't. Well, okay, there was one time, I'll say that, but it was really hard because all my friends would go to parties and they would drink almost every week. My roommate senior year had a hookah in our apartment, and so she would. So that gives you an idea of the environment that I was in. They were always drinking and smoking, and they always be like, "Oh, you're so boring. Why aren't you drinking with us? You can just have one drink. This is just ridiculous." And so they'd be pressuring me to drink. I'm like, "No, it's not. It's against the law. I'm not going to drink." I said, "Well, you drink with your parents' house." I said, "Well, yeah, I can drink at my parents' house. The law says I can." So they didn't get it. And so it would be incessantly, like day after day, they would be like shoving beer in my face. And
That's terrible.
yeah. And so there was one time on New Year's Eve, I was 20, and they said, "Come on, you're almost 21," because I was 21 next month. They said, "Come on, it's just, you can have one sip of champagne." So like I had one sip of champagne before age 21, but that was, so that was it. And I felt so bad about that. That was the one time they broke me, but but no, because okay, so as Catholics, I think we have this idea that there's certain laws that we know are immoral, that we, if there's immoral laws, we shouldn't follow those. And so we know that as Catholics. I think we take it to the other extreme too, and they say, okay, well, these laws seem dumb to us, we don't have to follow them. But that's not true. You get on the service road 183, it seems dumb to go 35 miles per hour because you can easily go 45 and it seems safe. But if you go 45, well, that's a sin because you're violating the law. You're going faster than the speed limit says. You might not agree with it. You might say, well, that's stupid. I know there's no cars around. I can safely go 45. And yeah, you can, but the law says 35. And so you have to go 35. You might feel like it's overreaching. You might feel like I can safely drink at 20 and you probably can, but the law says 21. And so if you were to do that, you're breaking the law and that is a sin. And I think sometimes we just don't see it that way, but it's true. We have to respect the law. So, I would have, like, for college, I'd bring my friends over to my parents' house. We could go there and that was fine. We could drink there. But without my parents around, the law said I couldn't drink. And so that's what I would do. But it was hard. Especially the friends you have do make a difference. Yeah.
You know what the penalty is for underage drinking?
It depends on how much you've had. And it depends on the state that you're in. So it depends if you're driving. It depends on if you're causing a scene, or you're getting in a fight. There's a lot of different factors that go into it. Is it your first time?
What if nothing happens, but you're
Yeah, so you're intoxicated, so you're above 0.08. And are you like walking on the side of the road? Are you in a car? So you're walking on the side of the road. I'll look that up. I'm not sure about Texas's penalty. They could definitely arrest you for that. I know that.
Arrest whoever, like, if you're at a party and you're underage, can they arrest whoever?
They would never arrested you.
Yeah, they certainly can.
They would.
Yeah, especially as an adult giving drinks to minors, that's a huge penalty. Yeah. So if there's somebody who's 21 giving drinks to people that are under 21, that's a big factor. Yeah.
So would the person that's intoxicated necessarily go to jail? Or
They certainly could. Yeah. If they're a minor, they would get a harsh penalty. So yeah, they would both be penalized for that, or they could be penalized for that.
If you're at a party and there's a lot of drunk people, can't they arrest everyone there?
They could.
Say that even if you didn't drink.
Oh, for sure. Oh, I know people that's happened to, where they were at the party and they didn't drink, but they were still arrested. They were there, and it's illegal. If you're underage, you're on people who are underage, they're breaking the law. So you're with people who are breaking the law, and they can arrest anybody in that environment who's breaking the law. So yeah, that's definitely a risk. Being at a party with people who are breaking the law and you're there, whether it's smoking marijuana, whether it's underage drinking, if you're present at a party that they're doing those things, you are liable for being there, and they could definitely arrest you. Now, generally, they're going to press charges if you didn't actually drink, but you were still present, and that you could definitely be penalized for that. But yeah, I think and one another thing before we leave, if you have a friend who drank too much and they're underage, in Texas, you can call a poison hotline and they can tell you what to do, and you won't be penalized for that. You have immunity. And so if you are drinking yourself, they're not going to ask you about that. They're not going to penalize you for that. If you're trying to help your friend who is overdosed, do what? If you are calling for help, they won't penalize the person calling for help. And so if you have a friend who's overdosed on alcohol and you're worried about them, and you call 911 or you call the poison hotline, they will not penalize you. You have immunity because you're trying to help your friend.
What about your friend? They penalize your friend?
They could.
I feel like it's
but-
better to get help for your friend.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. If they're going to die versus going to jail. Yeah. That's definitely true. But I think it's an important thing with these situations. You know, when I was in college, I was a senior, and my best friend had passed out drunk. And I really didn't know what to do. I had never been in a situation before. I didn't experience with alcohol. I was never taught by anybody what to do. I tried to wake her up several times. She wouldn't wake up. And so we didn't have internet. We didn't have Google or anything back then. So I couldn't Google this. See, now we can Google and but we didn't have that at the time. So I couldn't Google what to do. I can call anybody either. It's like, who am I going to call? I mean, anybody I know who would know what to do would be an adult who would probably be upset. And so I know anybody who could call who could help me. And so I just left her there. And I just regret to this day. It's like, that was such a bad thing to do, because she could have died, or she could have been, I mean, who knows? But, you know, you got to think of before you go to these situations to know what would you do in a situation. It's really important.
Is not getting like blacked out drunk, is that like a symptom of you're going to die?
Not getting blacked out time?
Well, like you said, like your friend fell asleep from being drunk.
Right.
Is that a symptom of getting close to like overdosing on alcohol?
Oh yeah, if you are not able to wake up, then you're close to death. I mean, yeah, if you cannot wake up a person, that's really serious. Like, they're in danger of dying. So that was a very serious thing that I wish I had helped her. Thankfully, she was okay, but I didn't know that. And it's a very serious thing to have somebody pass out like that. They could easily die.
Can you still like expect on repeat or like?
I didn't check. That's also something too. I didn't even know to check those things.
But
you're supposed to. Yes, that's right. You're supposed, yes. Morning.
Alcohol. This is my favorite topic.
Favorite topic ever.
Yeah, I
Wow.
actually know a lot of them.
Do you?
Me and John have alcohol.
Did
you say I can
No. I have a lot of family.
I'd probably say.
About your alcohol.
No.